All right, story time. These are my true stories about the times I've nearly died. Um, the first two, I'm going to tell them in chronological order. The first two, probably one might not consider as near death as the other ones. You tell me if you consider it near death. I thought it was near death. The first one, I was 5 years old and with my brother, who was 7, and we were riding a bike. We were being watched by my aunt at the time, and she was not watching us. I don't know what she was doing, but we were alone riding a bike, and she told us to avoid this lake, but the way the sidewalk worked, for some reason, the sidewalk ended like aiming right at the lake, and facing like the lake had embankment down into the lake. So when we rode around the sidewalk, I just remember seeing that lake coming up really fast and telling him to turn, and he was towing me, and him struggling and just going headfirst into the lake, falling down. It was probably only like a 4 foot lake or something like that at that point. It was just a few feet into it, but it was deep enough where it was over my head, and I had already like sunk to the bottom, looking up like at a couple feet of water, trying to claw my way out, like trying to hold my breath for a second and like screaming and like choking on water. Thankfully, like right at that time, my brother pulled me up and pushed me out to the side of the lake, and I climbed on like the grass and stuff and spit out a bunch of water and started to like climb up. And that was pretty much the majority of the story. My actually, like after that, my brother, I'm crying on the shoreline. My brother didn't want to go back to tell my aunt about this because he was afraid we were going to get in trouble, and he wanted if we lost the bike. So he wanted to get the bike back, and he was sitting there trying to scheme and like look for a stick of how he was gonna like fish out this bike from the lake without going back in. And we didn't get the bike. I guess they got the bike later. But anyway, so that's the first time. Second time, I am around, I think, 19 years old at this time. Oh yeah, I forgot. After this, there's going to be some graphic content. Viewer discretion advised. Not for minors. Drug content. And yeah, the rest of this, viewer discretion advised. I'm 19. I've been hooked on Xanax for months. I've been selling Xanax for uh, months, maybe a year at that time, but really hooked on them up to a point where I was eating like 4 Xanax bars at least a day, the 2 milligram bars, 4 a day, uh, just like on a low day. Like I got really up to the point, and some days I ate my most ever. I ate 16 Xanax bars. Swear to God, 16 Xanax bars throughout the whole day, and broke this beautiful bong, this new bong I just bought. But anyway, that's not my closest to death. Anyway, I realized how much I had been fucking up my life 6 months in, because it felt like it had only been 2 weeks. I could only remember about 2 weeks of it, and they weren't good stories. A lot of it, uh, some anyway. So I'm trying to get off the Xanax, and it's my first day clean, right? And I'm clean. I don't take any Xannies, and I'm going out with my friends to this rope swing, and this is an epic rope swing in Florida, South Florida. It's by Fort Lauderdale. It's by where they make these ships. There's this huge tree, and they've built this like ladder up, and you can swing like 30 feet into this huge deep uh, canal, and it's awesome. It's my first time going there, and I do My my first swing goes awesome. My friend is trying to show me how to do a backflip, and he's like going over it. You gotta tuck, you gotta pull, and you gotta flip. And I did it, and I fucking, on my first try, like almost nailed a backflip, and it was fucking awesome. All these people were watching. Uh, it was awesome. So I go down, and I'm waiting at the bottom to climb up this 30 like foot high tree, this small skinny tree that's super sketch looking, horribly crafted, with rusty nails. Anyway, and I'm waiting my turn, and boom, I fucking black out. And I wake up from the blackout, and my friend's standing over me like, Bob, you fucking had a seizure! Bob, you fucking had a seizure! Probably the worst way to tell someone some fucking news. And like, when I woke up from the blackout too, it's like the worst feeling of death, man. I wake up and it was like someone knocked the wind out of you. If you've ever had the wind really knocked out of you, it's like you try to breathe, and it's like your lungs are folded in, and you're like, and you're gasping for air, and you can't get any air. And I wake up to that. I wake up to fucking trying to having my friends screaming at me, and also my vision is like fucking all completely red vision, like super red vision. My face feels so flush. I feel like I'm fucking burning up, and my friend's screaming in my face, "You had a seizure! You had a fucking seizure!" And I'm like, oh, and I'm trying to breathe. I can't breathe, and then I fucking black out again. Fucking blackout. Wake up on a fucking gurney, getting taken out of the fucking woods by the fire department. Thankfully, I fucking waked up, right? Fucking, I don't know how the fuck. Thank you, God. Angels. I wake up in the hospital, and I I'm on like a drug court, a type of probation, and thankfully my friends are gangsters, and they. Anyway, this is not part of the death story, but I'll just tell it really quick. My friends are gangsters. They didn't tell my name. I wake up in the hospital. They're like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Fake name." I won't say his name now, but it's my buddy's name. I used it for a while because I could remember his birthday, and I knew I would get in trouble if I gave my real information. So I lied and gave my fake name, and then when the nurses weren't looking, I pulled out the IV. No, I asked to use the phone after I gave him my fake information to say I was going to call my mom, and called my buddy who I was hanging out with to pick me up, and I pulled out the IV and fucking walked out of the hospital, and a cop was sitting there at the front of the fucking hospital, and I fucking just like strutted by him and said like, "Hey, how's it going?" and just like walked by him, and made it out. Anyway, second time. That was my second time. Third time, more more drug stories. Man, I was a drug addict for a while, and it was I'm like around, probably close to that, around like 19 or 20, and I am on a heavy bender, like the most drugs I've ever done. Days it was in Florida. There's a lot of cocaine, but not a lot of crystal meth, and or at least in my circle. And at that time, they had found some crystal meth. So the first 2 days were crystal meth, followed with a bunch of liquid LSDs, and then the last. Wait, no, okay, that's the second story. Hold on, getting ahead of myself. The first, yes, it was the first 2 days was crystal meth, and then we went to a party at this high-rise hotel in like South Beach. It was this fucking penthouse too. It was baller. It had like 3 or 4 rooms. Fucking this girl's dad or parents were out of town. We had it to ourselves. There was a bunch of chicks, bunch of dudes, good ratio. It was a great party. And wait. I'm blending stories here. I'm blending stories. My friend, yeah, my friend actually died that time. So I made it away not near any death, but a friend of mine actually died that time. So I take that story back. Man, this is where I should edit this out. Don't do drugs, kids. Point of that right there. Let's get this out. I made it out super lucky. A bunch of my friends have died, so don't do drugs. If you're into drugs right now, start to find a way off those hard drugs and stick with marijuana and responsible alcohol drinking if you can do that. And if not, just marijuana or no drugs. Whatever works for you. Anyway. Okay, second time was the rope swing. Third time, I'm on a bender. It was it was that first thing I was talking about. I had it right. It was days of meth, and then with a bunch of liquid LSD, up to 16 drops throughout the 5 days. And the first 2 days were meth, and then the rest of the 3 days, the 5 days, were cocaine use and liquid LSD. And I was having a fucking baller ass time up until the point I fucking blacked out and had a seizure. And my friends had to fucking call the ambulance, and they took me to the curb because they didn't want the cops to come in because my friends are gangsters. And anyway, I didn't know that at the time. I woke up out of this having a great time on my couch to fucking. I woke up in the state of confusion, obviously, surrounded by nurses and paramedics in the hospital room, and I'm fucking tripping balls. And they're asking me what's my name and no, what I took, what did I take, and I'm just like, I don't know what I've said up to this point, and I don't like I don't want to. I'm also on this drug court still, so I don't want to get arrested. So I'm like, I didn't take anything. I didn't take anything. They're like, no, we want to help you. What'd you take? And there's this black paramedic in like the corner of the room. And at the time, my cocaine dealer was my neighbor, and he was a black guy. And his name was Nelson, but he told me to call him Black. He wanted me to call him Black. That was his nickname. His name was Black. And I saw this black paramedic in the corner, and I pointed him out. I'm like, hey, Black. And these people are looking at me, and he's looking. I'm like, hey, Black, come here, come here. And he comes over to me, and I'm like, Black, what do they know? And he goes, they know everything. They just want to help you. We're all here to help you. And I blacked out again. And I only remember, I remember a flash of them I remember a flash of them like being in the room and having this song from the movie Mallrats. It's in the soundtrack called 17. If you listen to that song, 17, 17, 17 years old, I don't know what's happening. We had watched that movie throughout the trip and throughout the time. And so that song is like, no, we were listening to the soundtrack. We didn't watch the movie. We're listening to the soundtrack. I have the CD. And so that song is fucking blaring in my head. I like after that, like, so I called Blackout. He said they wanted to help me or whatever. Boom, blackout, flash. I'm there. Everyone's around me, and I'm 17. I'm 17, and they're like trying to talk to me, and I'm just like hearing this music blaring, and everything's like the whole room's fucking going crazy. And yeah, I also gave a fake name and made it out of there. Um, and my friend picked me up, and I escaped again. Okay, okay, man. Fourth time, I'm getting a ride home. Man, this is already too long. I should edit this. Anyway, fourth time, getting a ride home from a concert. My driver is my good friend. My driver leaves me at the time. She's my girlfriend. We have a fight. She leaves me. Uh, so I call my buddies who I know were there, and they had already left the concert. They come back to get me. I know they've been partying. We've all been partying. And as she's as we're leaving the concert, she runs a red light. and we're going. The highway speed limit's something like 50 or 60 at that point, and she runs the light, and I see this Mustang coming at me, full head-on speed, not braking at all, and like in slow motion. When you're about to die, it seems like slow motion, and it seemed like slow motion at that point. And I like turn and to put my arms up to like block the incoming car, and it slammed into me. And again, a series. Uh, Blackout. I don't remember the spinning around. We spun around a bunch and wound up on the side of the road. I wake up out of the blackout. We're on the side of the road. Uh, and the car, thankfully, thank God, had airbags on the side. Uh, I don't see that at that time. I come to, and the car is completely squished in all the way to the middle, like arm bar. It's about like a few inches away from the middle arm bar. I wake up, I'm all twisted to the side with like the door smashed in, and I'm all like smashed to the side. And my friend Ingrid, who was driving at the time, is yelling at me, "Bob! Bob! Wake up! Wake up!" Oh man, I forgot about. Okay. So yeah, she wakes me up, and same thing. It's man, I wake up and it's like I've been hit by a ton of bricks. I can't breathe. I'm trying to tell her I'm all right, but I've had the wind knocked out of me so bad from this car crash, and I'm trying to tell her I'm okay, and I'm like, "Ah, ah," and she's like, "Oh my God, you're gonna die, Bob! Don't die, don't die!" Callie, I'll show you. Oh, whatever. Callie Bob Grower. Here we go. Anyway, so I pulled myself out of the car with like the oh shit bar, and like pulled myself out of her seat, and realized I wasn't dead. I didn't die. That was I'm already losing track of them. Oh no. The fourth time. Fifth time, uh I was robbed at gunpoint with the same girl Ingrid I was talking about, my homegirl, been partying for a long time. We were doing a bunch of blow, and did some Xanax to fall asleep. Don't recommend doing this, people. People die. This is how people die. Don't do this shit. Literally, a dozen friends of mine have died. So don't do this uh, unless you want to die. Don't do it. Don't die. Don't want to die. Anyway, uh, after all that partying, pass out, and I wake up to Ingrid shaking me, yelling at me, "Callie! Callie! Wake up, Callie!" She's slapping me in the face, right? Slapping. I wake up, she's slapping me in the face. "Wake the fuck up! Callie, wake the fuck up! You motherfucker! You just got robbed!" I'm like, "What? You just got robbed!" And apparently I had been robbed at gunpoint, and I had slept through it, even though they repeatedly tried to wake me up, and I was in such a heavy sleep from all the drugs that I didn't wake up, and I did have bruises from the gun, them hitting me in the head with the gun, a literal like bruise, a silhouette of a fucking gun on my temple of them hitting me with the gun, and I slept through it. Ingrid, poor Ingrid, was robbed at gunpoint, and I had I had been robbed like 2 weeks before this had happened. So I had nothing at the time. I had like maybe an ounce of weed, a new bong I had just bought, and that was it. And they took all that, and yeah, I was robbed at gunpoint. I slept through it. It was kind of near death, you know. I could have died. There was guns involved. It was like three black dudes with masks on. Uh, None. I didn't know any black dudes. I don't know. The first dude who robbed me knew those black dudes. That's how I got robbed the second time. Anyway, sixth time I almost died. Again, uh, doing drugs. Don't do drugs, folks. I did some drugs, uh, and I did some meth. I was super drunk. I didn't want to do meth. I told my friends repeatedly I didn't want to do drugs, and they were very insistent on getting them. That's why if you know anyone that does drugs, don't hang out with those people. Especially if you're trying to stop doing drugs, you gotta change your circle of friends. Anyway, I've done all that. I don't do drugs anymore. I've been clean for a while, uh, over 10 years. You can get clean too. Don't do drugs, people. Get off drugs. Anyway, sixth time, uh, I'd been clean for a while. I didn't want to do drugs. Uh, and I was so drunk at the time, though. I went to a Big Lebowski festival and I was hammered off White Russians. Probably one of the most drunkest I've been just off alcohol alone. To the point where, uh, because a lot of times I blacked out, if you can't tell. So I was so drunk though, I could like barely walk to the point where like I felt like the world shaking. When I would try to walk, I could feel like the world like moving, like it was like I was on a boat, and it was awesome up to the point, but then I realized I'm in public and I can barely I can barely lean on a wall. I was trying to lean on the wall and I kept almost falling over. My friends had to grab me and they were like, "We gotta go. We gotta get out of here." And so they wanted to get blow. They couldn't find blow. They got meth. So I ended up doing some meth. I did a Friday we did some meth, and then Friday night we got it, and then up until Saturday morning because that shit lasts forever. And then Sunday I went home. They continued. They divided it up between them. I didn't take any. I was like, nope, I'm done. I didn't want to do it in the first place. I'm good. I'm done. They split it up. We all went our different ways. The next day, I'm doing my thing. Uh, I have a girlfriend at the time, and she wants to meet up with me. And so I decide to take penis pills, some uh, some penis pills, which make you basically like Viagra. But what I didn't realize is that Viagra or any of those penis pills, they dilate your blood vessels. And after you've done amphetamine, your blood vessels are already dilated. And even though it had been days before when I thought in my mind, oh, it was Friday when we started doing it. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm in the clear now. It's Sunday. It's a different day. It's fine. But it was still in my bloodstream. So uh, I take the penis pill. The girlfriend comes over. Have sex with the girlfriend. Like halfway through having sex with the girlfriend, I start feeling like real sick, like nauseous and just horrible sick. Heart pumping fast, but that's kind of what penis pills do. We'll get that happening with sex. Sex will do that anyway. So, didn't really think anything of it. Told the girlfriend I wasn't feeling good. Uh, I faked like I was coming just to finish faster. I was just like, I couldn't come. I was just like, oh, okay, oh, I'm done. And I did it better than that, probably. And she left. Told her I wasn't feeling good and I just wanted to lay down. And as I was trying to lay down, it's the first time, it was the only time I've ever felt a heart palpitation. And if you know what a heart palpitation is, it's when your heart's skipping beats. And I could feel my heart beating really loud. And it was at like once every so often, it would just like stop for a second and then double beat and like, and do this double beat and just, it started to freak me out. And I was like, well, I've never had that before. That's not usual. And I called my buddy who I was doing the drugs with earlier. And he said, yeah, you should probably go to the hospital. So I called the ambulance Uh, I looked at my phone. My battery was about to die, so I stood up to get the phone charger, and when I stood up to get the phone charger, everything, my vision started going black, and my heart started going crazy fast. You could just feel it pounding out of my chest. And I fucking called 911 and started to look for my shoes. Couldn't find the shoes. And I knew, like, I just got to get outside my house just in case I pass out right now so they can at least find me on the street and, like, get to me easy. Um, so called 911, told them the address, told them I couldn't breathe, and they came. I started passing out on my like my driveway basically with my shoes off. It was cold outside, and I thought to myself, well, maybe if I lay down, it'll help me catch my breath if I can get the blood to my head, which I found out later was like the wrong thing to do. And it started to get way worse. And by the time the ambulance got there, I was like, my heart was going a million times a minute. I was barely able to speak, um, having trouble breathing. Uh, like minutes into it, at one point, one of the paramedics told me like to make a glove with my hand and try to blow each finger up as hard as I could, and like blow the glove up. And whatever that did, it worked because my heart was beating so fast, the blood was not getting to my brain and getting back to my heart. It was just rushing so fast, the blood was stuck everywhere. And by pressing it out, it was able to make this cycle around and come back to me and save me. And I had to go, yeah, to the ER, and they pumped me full of drugs. And the paramedic said later that my heart was around like 300 or 400 beats a minute. He thought it was going to explode out of my chest. He thought I was going to die. He thought he was going to watch me die. The whole time uh he had this look of fear. I remember them looking at me like they were scared. And they just kept asking me, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Robert. I just told you, Robert. Robert. Bob, Robert, Callie." Oh. Here we go. It's all good, right? What's your name? Russian guy. What's these messages you're sending me, huh? What is this all about? Anyway, so yeah, that was the last time I almost died. I've had a couple other car accidents, some other stories. Could be kind of close. Uh, Maybe you considered some of those stories not that close. What do you think? That went on way longer than expected. If you made it to the end, thank you. And tell me about your near death experience, maybe. I'm sure it was way more near death than mine. I've seen those videos, those people trapped in the water for 3 days and stuff like that. Yeah, mine weren't that harrowing. But those are as close as I've come to death so far. So hope you're all doing good. Positive vibes, good energy.